for agreeing to do the interview with us.
Oh, you're quite welcome.
Author Lonz Cook, it's a pleasure to meet you.
The pleasure's always mine.
Good. So let's get started.
Good.
A lot of questions, but my first question for you, what makes you powerful as a person, parent, and a writer?
Power is always defined as something that's influencing. So when I write my novels, I write from a point of true perspective and not so much as a hearsay mechanism. So that true life is actually given to the readers. You know, when I wrote A Choice to Yield was actually my perception to how life is in our society. So when you read A Choice to Yield, it comes out to be a story that you can apply yourself to, or you see yourself as a character. So what makes it powerful is the fact that it's true to life.
What about as a parent?
As a parent, it's because of the influence.
Okay.
Well, A Choice to Yield comes up as a tool of influence, because it's talking about daughters that make a decision whether they want to follow their heart or follow advice of a friend. And where we actually come in as parents is direct them and teach them the best avenues of making such decisions.
Ask you this question, Lawrence.
Sure.
How much of what you write reflects on your outlook on life? Is again, we've talked about the experiences that you've had in writing your other books, but you know, is this fiction? Is it fact?
This is true to life fiction. A lot of it's really factual. Every author puts a piece of themselves into their novels, one way or another. And here, A Choice to Yield is exactly that. It's a reflection of some of the events that's occurred in my life, or a lot of things that we've observed. And you can find out more as you read it. A Choice to Yield is one of those dynamic books where it's easily found and easily understood, and it's written well.
If it's easily found, where can I find it at?
The book is found actually in Amazon. The book is actually found on every bookstore online. You can go to your local bookstore, and if it's not in there, you can order it from that bookstore.
Like Borders?
Borders, Barnes &
Okay.
Noble, any local bookstore. It's a dynamic book, and if not, you can always write me at www.lonzcook.
Who are your mentors? Where do you find your inspiration? Where does it come from? Just sitting down and writing this? Again, tell us.
The most dynamic mentor I've ever had, and I contribute a lot of me, is my father.
Okay.
One of the most dynamic men I've ever known. You know,
he was a pastor?
He was a pastor. He was a very well-educated minister, theologist from Ivy League type school. And also another guy who was really dynamic to me was, it's good you bring that up, because my father also worked in the civil rights movement with Dr. King in the central Savannah River area of Georgia. He did a lot of dynamic things for our community. As far as helping those back when voting was not something that we did, and I remember him driving as a child all these people to the polls and helping them get to that and register to vote, even for those that couldn't read. So there's a lot of dynamic. The whole fact is, one thing I've learned from my mentors is how to address social issues, especially about behaviors. And that's what our society is about, more about behaviors than anything else. And so I tied into A Choice to Yield, where the behavior of the main heroine, how she makes a transformation into making a decision about following her heart instead of listening to the hearsays about what people are like and what races of people are like, and also what gender and loving relationships are based on what she's been exposed to. So the whole new exposure is a new dynamic.
Let me ask you this. Now, gratuitous sex scenes are often written into books simply as a vain attempt to make the rest of the book exciting. We know about that sex. What do you think of the increasingly gratuitous sex in African American literature, which seems to be a lot to me, but I could be wrong. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, we write a lot of things that we know. We write a lot of things that we've been exposed to. And since sex sells and we want our books to sell, a lot of times we actually highlight those sexual scenes. We overexpose it in a sense. But you know, back to the way I relate to relationships and sexuality is that sex enhances a relationship. It's not so much as the point of total exposure. Or in A Choice to Yield, I write it as a point of making the commitment. That's something that we've gotten away to from instead of identifying how we make it a part of the story, a part of our everyday lives, a part of relationships.
How many chapters in A Choice to Yield are based on sex? And if she doesn't ask that question, you go there.
there are only two great scenes in that
So
book.
you don't exploit sex a lot in
It's
your books.
not exploited at all. But that, again, Choice to Yield offers a finesse way of love. And sexuality, sex is actually a part of love. It's one other level when you're making a commitment or even exploring.
I know, and we know that, but again, some authors tend to take it, go overboard with it. You see how most of them will go off the script and keep going, and that's your door to keep coming in. But I do mean that. But some authors take it too far, and you only have two scenes in there, so you're comfortable with that. Do you plan to exploit sex or gratuitous sex in your other books, or will you try to be as use it as be as minimal as possible with the sexual scenes?
In all of my books, I am showing you where the finesse is when it comes to sexuality.
All your books. What are the books?
All of my books. My books are Good Guys Finish Last, A Choice to Yield, and also When Love Evolves, which will be released in April 19th to be exact. So, in those books, and Choice to Yield and Good Guys Finish Last, you'll be able to find them on Amazon, like all the others, or any bookstore that you attend or go to, and you can have them ordered.
And we won't be reading about sex.
It's not necessarily sex.
Okay.
No. But again, sexuality is something that we embrace as part of our relationships. So I don't exploit it, and it's not something on the cover. It's just a part of being loved. It's a part of finesse and loving. It's a part of the finesse in relationships.
So not just sex for the sake of having sex.
No, it's not. Because see, sex is again, it's something that we actually embrace and enjoy, but at the same time, there are times for it. You don't put it on the cover of everything you do.
Let me ask you this. What three elements, after having talked about sex and addressed that, complete a formula for happiness, success, or even freedom, in your opinion?
Happiness, success, and freedom. Those three elements make up everything in the world because you have to find yourself, as in I've written in A Choice to Yield, where my heroine goes through a process of identifying what makes her happy. So that's one element. You got to figure out what makes you happy. The second part is freedom, because you want to follow your passion. And following your passion means having the freedom to do so, having not the requirement of supporting one thing or another, but also making it to a point where you identify where your heart is and you follow that. And that becomes freedom, because then you're free to enjoy life as is. And financial responsibility, following your passion actually makes it financially savvy. In other words, the point of following your passion and being free enough to follow your passion is to make a life of it. So financially, you're enjoying what you do, therefore you do it more often. So when I wrote Choice to Yield, I started with following my passion. I wrote. When I finished the Choice to Yield, I started writing When Love Evolves, because that was my passion. So now, hopefully, as I keep praying, that more readers will actually go out and read it, and then become my financial freedom.
Well, now you say A Choice to Yield is a dynamic story of love, friendship, race/ethnicity. I can never pronounce that name.
Yeah.
Ethnicity, and transition. It's a true-to-life fiction where the plot grabs you from the beginning to end, and a fictionalized account of situations existing in many lives. Explain that to me.
You have friends. We all have friends. A Choice to Yield actually identifies where a woman makes a transition. When she makes a transition, she follows the advice of a friend. In our society, in our social makeup, we all have friends.
Mm-hmm.
We all either have friends that actually give us great advice or bad advice, but we all have those friends that advise us. Not only that, but we have friendships that also enhance us. So in other words, I'm saying, if there's an opportunity that knocks, there's a friend that led you to that opportunity. So my true to life fiction is the fact that you identify that type of friendship. And in A Choice to Yield, you'll find out that where I have multiple friendships, some that are enhancing and some are just damaging, but they're true friendships. And then also the ethnicity part is that we have these total type of views where people have these misbeliefs